grandfather gave me a watch. It wasn't a very expensive watch. It's probably worth like £400-500. It was an old Tudor.
Okay.
Tudor is a company that is founded by MensWorldToday, who also is the founder of Rolex. So it's a sister company to Rolex. So they make watches that have the same mechanical integrity as Rolex. However, they're not as expensive, and they're made with slightly cheaper materials on a slightly cheaper budget. I didn't know that at the time. So if you have a bare minimum knowledge in terms of watches, you want a Rolex. But what you don't understand is that Vacheron and Constantin have been making watches for hundreds of years, and some of their movements and craftsmanship are way beyond what anything Rolex could produce at the moment. But it's just people don't know about it because they're not too tapped into the watch market.
Hi, and welcome back to Men's World Today. If you've seen his personal pages on Instagram, you recognize a man who doesn't just pass through places. He spends time there. From hands-on humanitarian work in Uganda building schools, he's also the founder of SK Timepieces. So please welcome Sonnie.
Thank you very much, George, for having me on.
Now, before I go any further, can you just tell me a little bit about how you came about the school building in Uganda?
So I come about it in quite a spontaneous way, actually.
Okay.
So I was having a drink at a bar with my friend Twiggles, who's a famous photographer. And she mentioned that she was going to Uganda to do a project with a charity called the One Life Project, which has owned a piece of land in Uganda. Essentially, it was just a rough piece of ground. They built a primary school, and then they built an upper school. They built a disabled unit, and every year they go back with a new group of volunteers and build and add something new to the school. And she was employed by a guy called Kai to basically document the process of the volunteers going there, building the school, getting some good content to hopefully get a whole new batch of volunteers to go back next year and just document the process to show people what real change that they were making in Uganda. And because she got the job to go, I was very intrigued by that. But I was even more intrigued by it 3 more pints down when I was looking at flights to Rwanda, because you have to pass through Rwanda to get to Uganda. I was looking at flights, and I was really drawn into the fact of not only making a change, or anyone can do charity at home. Anyone can donate £2 a month, or adopt a penguin at London Zoo, or anything like that. But to me, that seems just superficial. It's not real. I like, to get stuck in ground on work. And I thought it was a real opportunity to open my eyes up to a whole new world. I feel like you can't buy culture. So in order to culture yourself as a human being, you really need to get into the nitty and gritty of life. Whether that be exploring Ibiza and going to the best clubs in the world, or whether that be going to Africa in the deep, dark depths of Uganda, going to some of the poorest places and being able to make a real difference. Even going to America and experience a different culture there. Although we speak the same language, the culture difference is very much real when you get there. So I feel like I'm at a right time in my life at that specific moment in order to do that. I feel like time is the most valuable asset about anyone's life, regardless of how rich or poor you are. You can't buy time. So the fact that I'm young and I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I'm able to go to these places and experience different things and culture myself as a human being is invaluable. I essentially gate crashed her holiday to Uganda. I got put in contact with a lovely woman called Natalie, who is the organiser for the charity. She spoke to Natalie about it and said, have you got space for one more? It was very, very last minute, very spontaneous. And I woke up in the morning, got my yellow fever jab. 10 days later, I'm on a flight to Rwanda, and got to Rwanda. Got picked up by my transport. We drove 3 hours across the border into Uganda. Through the passage from Rwanda to Uganda, I could really, really tell the difference. It was getting more raw. But what I also noticed is that the people from Rwanda to Uganda were more loving and caring. And I was really, really scared and apprehensive about going. When I told my parents that I was going, they both just laughed at me and was like, don't bring a watch, don't bring this, don't bring that, because the westernized ideology of Africa is not very positive. But to experience it firsthand, I can safely say that it was one of the best, most positive experiences I've ever had in my life. Uganda may be very poor as a country, but they're rich in culture and they're rich in spirit. And I just felt something I'd never felt before while I was out there, and I felt like I was making a real difference. Although I wasn't necessarily plastering and rendering, and I'm not very good at manual labour, and I knew that going into it, so I knew it would be a struggle. But I feel like I made the most of it, and I was able to utilise my skill set to the best of my ability while I was there. And it's a beautiful experience, and I would encourage anyone who who's interested in charity work to obviously branch out, contact a charity that does humanitarian work in poverty-stricken countries and try and make a difference, because it makes so much more of a difference to yourself knowing that you are making the change that you want to see in the world, hands-on, there in the country, as opposed to sending 20 quid, 30 quid a month to a direct debit that you don't know where your money's going. And that was the biggest thing for me, being able to see, witness and action the change that I wanted to see in the world.
Thank you for sharing that with us, because not many people go through it, and I can tell, as you were talking about it, I could see in your eyes that you probably can't even express everything that you felt, but I can tell that it changed you in a way. How did you get into luxury watches? I mean, what sparked your journey, and when did you realize that you could turn this into a business?
It's actually a complete fluke.
Sounds like the goat story.
So when I was 16 and I passed my GCSEs, my grandfather gave me a watch. It wasn't a very expensive watch. It's probably worth like £400-500. It was an old Tudor. Okay. Tudor is a company that is founded by MensWorldToday, who also is the founder of Rolex. So it's a sister company to Rolex. So they make watches that have the same mechanical integrity as Rolex. However, they're not as expensive, and they're made with slightly cheaper materials on a slightly cheaper budget. I didn't know that at the time, so I just thought it was a piece of shit. So I put it in a drawer and left it. Didn't think anything of it, didn't wear watches, nothing like that. And then about 6 months later, after a 20-year marriage, my grandfather and grandma broke up. Even after I did anything, but obviously my grandma stayed with me, but because he gave me the watch and I found it one day, I wanted to get rid of it. I'm a big believer in energy, spirituality, like the more you put out into the world, you get back, all of this stuff. So I know it keeps me going, but drives me crazy at the same time. And I wanted to get rid of it. But I didn't want to take it to a pawnbroker's and get ripped off. So I decided to learn absolutely everything about it. I joined loads of watch forums, watch group chats, Facebook chats, did London watch event in Park Lane, and I just consumed myself within the watch industry because firstly I wanted to make money selling this one watch and not get ripped off. But the more I learned about watches, the more it intrigued me to learn more. And it just become a little bit of an obsession. And I ended up selling this particular watch, but what I found out in the process of selling the watch, like 3-4 months later, is that I knew loads of people who had the exact same watch, but I also had loads more inquiries of people that wanted to buy the watch that I had just sold. So what I did is I brought and sold the same watch over and over and over again, getting little bits of profit here and there, building up the ladder, like building my client base, like establishing myself with end users and traders, because I was buying some of them off traders that just wanted to get rid of them because it's an old shit watch and stuff. And I was selling them to end users, people that just wanted to buy it because they wanted something cheap that was reliable and of a reputable brand. And by that point, I was so obsessed with watches. It had been like 6-7 months down the line. I knew which Rolexes to buy, but I wouldn't have known that if I wasn't so obsessed with watches. So essentially, I monetized a hobby that I had to a point where I knew what watches within the market I could make profit on.
Of course.
And I just started flipping watches.
You hear the stories of how a lot of businesses started, and it's either by accident or through curiosity or through passion. And I think you have to have a bit of luck as well, and a bit of naivety, the ignorance of youth,
Lots of luck.
and luck. I mean, that's brilliant. So, in terms of the luxury watch market, what does luxury really represent to you when it comes to watches?
What luxury represents to me,
Yeah,
and what luxury represents to everyone else is very subjective. But what luxury watches represent to me and everyone else kind of is in the same bracket. So if you have a bare minimum knowledge in terms of watches, you want a Rolex. But what you don't understand is that Vacheron Constantin have been making watches for hundreds of years, and some of their movements and craftsmanships are way beyond what anything Rolex could produce at the moment. But it's just people don't know about it because they're not too tapped into the watch market. The same thing with certain Pateks. Like, people know Rolex, AP, Patek Philippe, but what they don't know about is Jaeger LeCoultre, Vacheron Constantin, and those of other watch brands that have been around for a very, very, very long time, which produce incredible pieces. So it just depends on the person and what the person sources themselves as luxury, I feel like it's what it represents to you.
Right.
You can buy a watch because you like it, because it's flashy, and you don't care about the resale value of the watch because you're buying it just to be a consumer. Or you can buy a watch as an investment that you're never going to wear to put in a safe, and hopefully it will go up in value and you can make money back on your investment.
I was once watching a podcast and they were talking about guys who work for JP Morgan.
Yeah.
And they were saying, if you start off as a runner and you do well in the first year or whatever, you get a certain level of Rolex. The higher up you go, you get different levels of Rolex. And then when you get to the very pinnacle, they end up wearing Timex or Apple watches. It's like, at that point, it doesn't really matter anymore, right?
Like, for example, Tim Cook, he's always seen in Timexes and Casios.
Yeah.
Wearing a Casio is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
But it's about if it serves its purpose to you. If you're buying a watch to stand out in the crowd, create conversations and to network to people and to make an investment and hopefully get your money back, and you buy a Casio, I'd laugh at you. But if you're buying a Patek Philippe 5711 Navy dial, which has been discontinued now, then I would respect you. But it's about whether it serves its purpose to you. If you're buying a watch to tell the time, you can buy anything in the world to tell the time. But if you're buying, to
celebrate a milestone, or
exactly,
signify
it's what it means to you.
Yeah.
And I always say this to people, like Rolexes, Pateks, APs, all of these watch brands, they all have incredibly complicated watch mechanisms. So some APs have what's called a double balance wheel, which is just it's like a Rolls-Royce engine of a watch mechanism. Some have what's called a tourbillon movement, which is one of the world's most complicated watch mechanisms. None of these automatic movements in these watches are 100% efficient with telling the time. You always have to wind them. Some have a 72-hour power reserve, some have a 48, some have a 24, some are self-rotating, so you've got to constantly move it or keep it in a watch winder. The only watch that will tell the time perfectly is a Casio or a battery-powered watch. It will tell the time perfectly for 2-3 years until you need to replace the battery. But when you buy a Rolex, if you leave this watch out for 3 days, it will just stop and you'll need to wind it again. You don't buy a watch to tell the time, because if you bought a watch to tell the time, you'd buy a watch that tells the time perfectly. And often those watches are battery-powered watches, which are cheaper than most upmarket watches that you can buy from AP and Rolex.
What is the biggest mistake people make when they step into the luxury watch market?
Obviously, you need to do your research. Don't just buy it from any Tom, Dick and Harry. Also, there is...
As in a retailer, you mean? Or
not necessarily a retailer, because a lot of companies in Hatton Gardens and Canary Wharf are all resellers of watches. But buying a watch from a retailer, you have to be on a waiting list, good buying history, you're able to get them sooner, and you're able to get higher end luxury pieces, maybe even off catalogue pieces if you have a very, very good relationship. For example, if you was to walk into Rolex right now, having no buying history, having never bought a watch, and ask for a Rolex Submariner, which is the iconic watches of all time, they would basically laugh at you and say, okay, cool, we'll take your details, we'll put you on a list, and It's like a 5-6 year waiting list. But also, people that are in the unique opportunity to buy watches at retail also get them a lot cheaper than the market value of the watches. So if you want a watch and you want it now and you don't want to wait 5-6 years, you're going to have to buy it from a reputable pre-owned seller.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean the watch is used, because a lot of the time people walk out of the shop and Rolex and go straight to Canary Wharf, straight to Hatton Gardens and cash out. So the watch is brand spanking new, and it can even be dated today. Like, if you really wanted a Rolex Submariner dated this month, I could go to Hatton Garden tomorrow and probably find you 5. They are readily available, but you do have to pay the price.
Wow.
So it's just about doing your research and doing your due diligence into making the correct purchase. You should never rush the purchase because that's where you can get caught short.
How do you prevent yourself from buying fakes?
To an end user, I would say the most important thing is buying from a reputable dealer. Whether that be going directly to Rolex or going into Hatton Gardens and speaking to people and finding out who's got what you want for the best price possible. There's this website called the Watch Registry, where you can put the serial number in of any watch. It's a very good thing to do if you're buying a pre-owned watch.
Right.
You put the serial number in of the watch. It will tell you if it's been encountered in any fraudulent activity, if it's lost or stolen, if it's been claimed, this, that and the other. And you get a certificate with that. Also, there's little telltale signs, like on the inner bezel of every single Rolex at 6 o'clock, below the 6 p.m. increment, there's a serial number. Make sure that serial number matches up with the serial number that's on the card, the authenticity card that you get.
Listen, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you want to check the card for date changes. When you buy a watch from anyone, meet them at a reputable Rolex dealer to authenticate the watch. Every single day Rolex sell a watch from an authorised dealer, they will date the card. There's a new trend going around at the moment where people are changing the cards. So for an end user, it would be impossible for you to tell that that card had been changed. But for you to do your extra due diligence in terms of securing your investment when wanting to sell it on in the future, when buying the watch straight away, you should take it to a watchmaker just to make sure the card hasn't been altered, the serial numbers, everything matches up. They take the case off the back of the watch to see that it's an authentic Rolex movement, and they'll be able to tell you. And obviously you'll have to pay a price for that. However, it's a small price to pay in terms of the big loss you'll make in the future, and it obviously gives you peace of mind at the same time. So
you're saying any end user buying a watch from a sourcer like yourself can quite easily go to one of these dealers in Hatton Garden and verify the authenticity there with you, and
there's loads of watchmakers in Hatton Garden that can do that.
What's the entry price point of someone if you're trying to get into luxury watches? What would be a decent entry price?
So, for example, as I said earlier, Tudor is a company that's owned by Rolex, founded by Hans Willdorf. The Hans Willdorf Foundation. Obviously, Rolex is a charity, by the way.
Really?
Rolex is a charity. So it's the Hans Willdorf Foundation that owns Tudor and Rolex.
Wow.
There's watches like the Tudor Black Bay 58 that set you back probably just under £3,000, which are made with incredible craftsmanship. Beautiful watch, wraps around your wrist, tells the time, wind it up, it's automatic, it does the job, Bob's your uncle. But also you know that you're buying into the history and legacy of a sister brand of Rolex, which often people like, makes them feel comfortable. You know, statements and what people want and make with the watch and what they want people to see. But from a watch person's perspective, I would say you can get into the luxury watch market between £0 to £3,000, and I would buy a Tudor Black Bay 58 or something similar along the lines. Also, Tag do some really nice watches like the Monaco edition, which is absolutely beautiful with the gold dial. There's so many different options available. It's just if you want to buy a luxury watch and you have a specific budget for that watch, it's down to you to do your own research into finding what is right for you.
Do you think wearing a luxury watch has an impact on how people feel? Do you think it elevates people's mindset, their spirit? You mentioned you're into your energy. Do you think it elevates?
I think how you look is how you feel. It's the same way you feel when you're wearing your brand new white pair of shoes. It's the same way you feel when you're turning up to work in a brand new Savile Row suit. You feel prestigious, you feel different, you feel on top of the world. And it represents value to you spiritually. And that authenticity about how you feel is obviously projected. Like, there's 3 fundamentals for me, personally. Obviously, other people are different. The way you smell, the shoes you wear, and the watch you wear.
Okay.
Because you can wear anything else. But as long as you smell good, you've got a nice watch on, you've got some good shoes on. And it gives you the confidence to install within other people that you speak to and network with that you can portray the image of who you want to be through those 3 things.
There's obviously lots of luxury watch sources about.
Yes.
What sets you apart from the rest?
A lot of people buy and sell luxury watches to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
I offer a discreet, exclusive service to my clients. So if you had X amount of money to spend on a watch, I wouldn't just fire watches at you over WhatsApp. I'd meet you and we'll talk about what specific watches that you like that you could wear on the odd occasion, which would also secure your investment.
Right.
I would show you graphs and figures about how that specific watch has performed previously in the market and where it's projected to go in the future, and give you more of an insight and a schooling into your purchase, as opposed to just going, I can get that for you today and I can make £1,000 on that, you should have that. I'll turn up, we'll have a conversation, we'll have a beer, we'll talk about what's right for them, however long it takes. I want them to be completely 100% confident in their decision. I'll get the watch, I'll bring it to their house, they don't need to travel. Obviously, we live in London. It's crazy. People's phones getting snatched, people's watches getting snatched, people's arms getting chopped off, God knows what. I'll be able to bring that watch to your house. You don't need to go anywhere. You look at the watch, you verify it, you like it, you buy it. You don't even need to leave your front room.
Sonnie, you know what? It's been a fantastic conversation. But guys, obviously this is an introduction to Sonnie. We are going to delve more into the world of luxury watches and sources. For example, I want to get more into the difference between Rolex and AP and some of those interesting ones he mentioned. And obviously the investment side of things, because as he said earlier, you know, the value of watches is very much like the stock market. It goes up and down. Now, I'd like to see you with your graphs. I'm going to tell you I'm an accountant. I'm going to challenge you on your growth rates. You can
challenge me on my graphs anyway.
But, you know, I was very taken aback by his charity work. You know, he's very down to earth. To appreciate customer service this early in his career is a fantastic attribute to have. I also heard something about you became a goat dad. What's all that about?
So, we worked on the school from 9 a.m. to about 3 o'clock when the school day ends. Yeah. But when the school day ends, everyone goes back to the hotel. Okay. So I was so late and everyone else had pre-planned this whole thing. Yeah. I got a tent. Okay. So I was sleeping in the tent. So I went back to my tent every day at like 4 o'clock. Right. And everyone was just chilling, vibing, drinking. We done campsite vibes and we would go to like local hotels. Obviously there's no like Ritz or like, you know, Four Seasons. Like, but there are local places you can go. Yeah. And I'm an explorer. And we found some locals, found out that there was a hotel bar called the Bird's Nest, about a mile walk. Okay. So we walked up there on this like dirt sand track, and they gave me a cocktail menu, and I was like, what? A cocktail menu? I'm in Uganda. This is meant to be like, I wasn't expecting to receive a cocktail menu. So I ordered probably about 4 cocktails at once, because ordering food at any restaurant in Uganda is going to take quite a long time to come. Right. So I thought the same with the drinks. But the drinks turned up pretty quickly. Oh, okay. So meanwhile, I'm getting pissed. Right. And I thought it would be a brilliant idea for me to buy a goat, because I could give it to the school. I could sponsor it every month. Right. And I could teach the kids about how to care for animals. Okay. That was the idea. At first I wanted to buy an elephant. What's the craziest, biggest thing that I can get within my budget? So we bought this goat. it turned up on the back of a moped. I paid 30 quid for her. Her name was Camilla. And then the next day, we gave her to the school.
Right.
Kai, the founder of the charity, came up with this amazing idea that she could be the school mascot.
Right, okay.
So she lives now with the school that we were working on in Uganda, and the head boy and the head girl of the school take charge in teaching the younger kids how to take care of animals. So it was a spontaneous purchase,
but it's found value.
it's found its place.
Right.
And I'm a massive animal lover, so I thought, you know what, it's might as well.
Well, there you go, guys. From building a school to buying a goat and a whim, and now the goat has become an integral part of the school.
It's a school mascot, yeah.
That's brilliant. So, Sonnie, tell us a bit more about how people can get in touch with you, where they can find you, where you're based. Obviously, we know you're mobile, you're international, but just, tell the Men's World audience.
So we have access to offices in Hatton Gardens and Canary Wharf. My Instagram handle is SK Timepieces. Within the bio of that Instagram, you'll be able to find my personal Instagram, where you can track my journeys through my charitable work and just what I get up to day to day in London. You can message me on WhatsApp, and I can add you into either a watch broadcast where you can see the latest stock that I have available, and you can contact me directly in terms of whether you want to buy, sell, source or trade any luxury watches.
Well, there you go, guys. SK Timepieces. Very interesting guy watching. Thank you so much for watching us. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, follow us, share it, and until next time, take care of yourselves.